Hello, everyone, and welcome to our beautiful cathedral.
We will now please ask you to stand and join us in our opening hymn, Here I Am, Lord.
I, the Lord of sea and sky, I have heard my people cry, all who dwell in dark and sin, my hand will save. I who made the stars of night, I will make their darkness bright. Who will bear my light to them? Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I, the Lord of wind and flame, I will tend the poor and lame. I will set a feast for them, my hand will save. Finest bread I will provide, till their hearts be satisfied. I will give my life to them. Whom shall I send? Here I am, Lord. Is it I, Lord? I have heard you calling in the night. I will go, Lord, if you lead me. I will hold your people in my heart. I will hold your people in my
Born in Tehran, the Russian and Persian author and teacher is Marina Nemat is here with us today to share her story.
She was awarded the Human Dignity Prize in 2007 thanks to her humanitarian and social justice work. Her two memoirs, Prisoner of Tehran and Life After Tehran, have inspired millions and have spread hope in moments where all hope seemed lost. And now, please help me welcome Marina Nemat.
Okay, everyone, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here and to speak in this beautiful place. So thank you. And I know you're tired after a long trip, so I'll try to keep it as concise as I possibly can. So my name is Marina, and I was born in 1965 in Tehran, Iran. So I'm right now 52 years old. Now, when I was born in Iran in 1965, Iran was not an Islamic republic. We had a king and we called him the Shah. When I was growing up in Iran, by the way, I am a Christian. I was born in a Christian family in Iran. My grandparents had escaped the Russian Revolution of 1917. They escaped the communists, ended up in Iran, and for a while, life was good. So when I was born, my parents, they rented 2 apartments in downtown Tehran on top of a furniture store and a restaurant. And that is where my dad taught ballroom dancing. Oh yeah, ballroom dancing in Tehran. And my mother had a beauty salon. So I grew up between the sounds of the cha-cha and the tango and women with really big poofy hair. When I looked out of my window, again, we are in downtown Tehran, I saw a 4-lane street with a lot of cars, a lot of shops, beautiful skyscrapers, people going about doing their shopping. And the vast majority of the women that I saw on the street, they wore tight t-shirts and miniskirts. Back then, Iran was not like today. It was not governed by Islamic laws. Back then, in the 60s and the 70s, Iran was governed by secular laws. According to those secular laws, a woman could dress whatever way she wanted. A woman could become a judge. A woman could become the prime minister. So I grew up in a country that respected women. I went to a beautiful school, I was a good student, and I wanted to become a medical doctor, which was not a far-fetched dream. We owned a cottage by the Caspian Sea, nothing like Lake Ontario, warm waters, sandy beaches as far as the eye can see. And in 1978, when I was 13, the year before the success of the revolution, my friends and I, we would take our boom boxes to the beach. Now, I know many of you are too young to know what a boom box is, but they were big boxes, took 30 D-size batteries, weighed 40 pounds. So we would take it to the beach, and we would be dancing to the tunes of the Bee Gees. Every Friday night, I watched the Donny and Marie Osmond show. And every Saturday night, the Little House on the Prairie dubbed into Farsi. I loved wearing my bikini on the beach. I fell in love during that summer with a young man. He was 18, I was 13. I know that's a little odd, but I was on cloud 9. I didn't care, he didn't care, so it was all good. I was a happy kid. Dysfunctional family, as dysfunctional as any gets, but I was a happy kid. I wanted to grow up quickly, go to medical school, become medical doctor, marry Donny Osmond, and live happily ever after. But it didn't work out that way. In 1978, when we got back home from the cottage to Tehran, which is where I lived, there was a tank parked at my door. I had never seen a tank before. I didn't know why it was there. I asked my mother, what's that? She said, it's a tank. I said, I know, what's doing here? She said, I don't know, but it looks very angry and real to me. I thought maybe they were shooting a movie, but it was real. I watched from my window as the Islamic Revolution of 1979 unfolded. There were angry people on the street, very angry people, and they were yelling slogans like death to America, death to Israel, death to communists, death to imperialists, death to everybody. I never heard death to Canada, but they probably didn't know where it was. They were angry. And up to that point, if an alien from another planet appeared and said to me, Marina, explain your people to me, I would have said, well, the people of Iran, they love to party, they love to get drunk, and they love good food. And that would have been my honest opinion of middle-class life in Tehran. And by the way, back then and still today, 99% of the people of Iran were and are Muslim. My Muslim friends loved a good party and getting drunk as much as my family did. So I couldn't understand what was going on. So I asked a friend of mine, he was a medical student, I asked him, he was older, he was 18, he knew everything. I asked him what's going on, and he said, we have a revolution in progress. I asked why? He said, well, the Shah, the king, is a dictator. I said, what's a dictator? And he said, well, if you speak against the government, you're going to be arrested, tortured, and executed. I didn't know. I was 13, and I was madly in love with Nani Osmond. Of course, I didn't know. So this revolution succeeded. Ayatollah Khomeini, a religious leader turned very political, had become the leader of this revolution. And the left and the right, the liberals and the conservatives, the religious and the communists, they all supported him. The Ayatollah promised the people of Iran freedom and democracy, but he didn't deliver. He told the people that Western governments and corporations had been stealing Iran's oil money and meddling in Iran's affairs, which was true, and he promised to put an end to it, but he didn't deliver. And the people believed him. I mean, he made these grand promises, beautiful promises, and he didn't deliver, but the people believed him. They all said, he's a man of God, he couldn't possibly be lying, but he was. So the revolution succeeded, the Shah, the king, was forced into exile. The Ayatollah, who had been in exile, returned to Iran, and through a free referendum, it was free, I was there. 98% of the people of Iran voted yes to an Islamic republic. The problem was that nobody knew what it was. There had never been an Islamic republic. This was 1979. Today, political Islam is well known. But back then, nobody knew what an Islamic republic even means. But, you know, people believed this guy, and they followed, and they voted, and Iran became an Islamic republic. The schools reopened. They had been shut down for 3 months because there was violence on the street. They reopened, and we went back to class. The school was there, the classes, the literature, English, Farsi, geography, mathematics, all the classes, all the teachers, they were all there. But the principal wasn't. The new Islamic government had sent us a new principal. She was 18, 18. And she didn't even have a high school diploma. She wore the complete Islamic hijab, which was odd because I had grown up in a bikini on the beach. So we went to this woman and said, hello, where's the principal? And she said, oh, your principal was executed. Whoa, executed? What for? Because she was the best friend of the Minister of Education. So if you're the best friend of some minister, you're going to be executed? Yeah, pretty much. What do we think revolutions do? Revolutions are angry events filled with rage, and with their success, the rage doesn't just frizzle out and go away, but it leads to revenge. Every day on my way to school, I would stop by newspaper stands. Yeah, we had those back then. And I would look at the front page of the newspaper, and they would be covered with the images of bloodied bodies of government officials executed by the new regime. This was the pride of the revolution. But you know what? Life goes on. It always does, especially for a 13-year-old in high school.
At the beginning, it was actually great because all the old laws were out the window and all the new laws were still being written. It takes time to write a brand new constitution. So in the meantime, as the new political figures were busy writing the new constitution, there was no law. If you're 13 and there is no law, it's great. It's fantastic. So at the beginning, we really enjoyed ourselves. I mean, it was lovely. If you didn't feel like going to math class in the afternoon, you could go see a movie and nobody could say. The new principal still didn't have enough authority to say what's going on. But things began to change. Now, I have to give you a footnote here. Horror in history doesn't happen overnight. It's not that we go to bed tonight and tomorrow we have Hitler, Stalin, Mao, or Khomeini for that matter on our hands. It happens little by little. We lose our freedoms and liberties little by little. At the beginning, sometimes writers, thinkers, journalists, they are forced into exile or retirement. Sometimes being of a certain ethnic background or religion becomes illegal. Sometimes writers, thinkers, journalists are put into exile. In the meantime, the average citizen, like your mom and dad, they are busy going to work and making their car payments and mortgage payments and all of that. They are too busy. They are too busy to question what is going on, all the liberties that are being lost. And then by the time we realize that something is wrong, somebody will put a gun to our head and pull the trigger. And by the way, Hitler did not happen in the Middle East. Hitler happened in Germany, a country that had a democratic process in place. So my dear fellow Canadians, if we think that because we live in a democracy, we are immune to the likes of Hitler, please think again. In Iran, not only we didn't gain any political freedoms, we lost our personal ones. Dancing became illegal. Singing became illegal. Holding your boyfriend's hand in public became illegal. Wearing nail polish? Illegal. Wearing bright colors? Illegal. If I went on the street like this, wearing what I'm wearing now, I would be arrested for being indecent. So we lost our liberties, one after the other after the other. In the meantime, my generation, my friends and I, we were on the streets of Tehran protesting. And every protest rally was attacked by the Revolutionary Guard, the new police of the revolution who now own Iran. We were being shot at from the rooftops. I went to many protest rallies. I was 14, 15 years old. And when those bullets, they start flying, and you're 15, you always think, it's never going to hit me. It's going to just hit other people. When you're 15, you think you are invincible. The wave of mass arrest of young people began in spring of 1981. The very first person from my class who was arrested, her name was Shahnoush Behzadi. We had been classmates since the 3rd grade. We always studied math together, so when we had math, we went to school early and we studied together. She was afraid of spiders, I was afraid of cockroaches. So if a spider showed up, I took care of it. If a cockroach showed up, she did. It worked really well. One day she wasn't there, but she came to school even when she had the flu. So We sent someone to her home to figure it out. There was no Facebook back then. And this person came back to report that Shahnoosh had been arrested the day before at home. She was 15 years old. We got together the next day in school, my friends and I, and we looked at each other and we said, come on guys, don't worry about it. How bad can it get? She's 15, they are going to ask her a few questions, they are going to let her go, right? Wrong. Every day there was a desk empty. Every day the number of people who had been arrested increased. And we still looked at each other and said, how bad can it get? There aren't any stupid questions in this world except one. There's only one stupid question. And that is, how bad can it get? It can get bad and quickly. They came for me on January 15, 1982. I was about to take a bath. It was 9 or 10 o'clock at night. I was home in the bathroom. I went in the bathroom, closed the door behind me, turned on the tap on hot. Winter, January, actually gets cold in Tehran. So I was waiting for the water to heat up. The doorbell rang. I thought, uh-oh, nobody comes to our house at 10 p.m. My mother called my name. I opened the bathroom door, and there were two really big guns pointed in my face. People have asked me, were you scared? No, I was not. And that is not because I'm brave. I'm not brave at all. But I entered a state of shock. A state of shock is like body armor. It is a gift from God. It goes on automatically and click, you're in. It protects you not against bullets, I wish. It protects you against emotion. So I was looking at the guards and I was looking at my mom and my mom and dad were crying. And I was thinking, why are you crying? No big deal, I'm just getting arrested. The guards put me in a car and they drove me north to Evin prison. Evin was built during the time of the Shah and was supposed to be shut down with a revolution, but it wasn't. And today, as we speak, it is 100% operational. So what I'm telling you is not history. What I'm telling you is happening right now as we speak. Evin is a large compound north of Tehran, surrounded by tall walls and barbed wire and guards. I was taken in and blindfolded immediately. Then the guards took me into a building and they walked me along hallway after hallway after hallway. Eventually I was told to sit down. I did. And then a few hours later, somebody called my name and I was taken into a room. A door closed behind me. A man said, sit. I did. I couldn't see him, but I could hear him. He asked me, have you attended protest rallies against the government? I thought about it. I mean, I was 16. I was quite capable of lying. But what was the point? Everybody knew I attended protest rallies. The principal knew, the teachers knew, my parents knew, my friends knew, the shopkeepers knew. I wasn't wearing a ski mask on the streets of Tehran. Wow. I like that. It's like sound effect. Wow. Okay, that was a good sound effect to my interrogation. So the man asked me also, have you written articles against the government? I said, yeah, in my school newspaper. Then he asked me, where is Shahrzad? Shahrzad is a girl's name in Farsi. I had met her once. She was a friend of mine. I didn't know her last name. I didn't have a phone number. I didn't have an address. I had met her once. And I told the truth. I said, I don't know where she is. I don't know. It was the absolute truth. The man didn't believe me. They took me to another room, and there they took off my blindfold. I was in a small room with two men, Ali and Hamid. I looked around me. There was a desk, two metal chairs, and a bare wooden bed. They asked me again, where is Shahrzad? I said, listen guys, I don't know, really, I don't know. They handcuffed me. When they handcuffed me, they saw that my hands are going to slide out of the cuffs. I was 90 pounds back then, much smaller than I am today. So they put both of my wrists, and they put both of my wrists into one cuff, and as it clicked, my right wrist cracked. And the torture had not even begun. At that point, I screamed my head off. If the devil appeared and said to me, and I say this very honestly, if the devil appeared and said to me, Marina, sell me your soul, I'll get you back home to your mom, I would have sold my soul with whipped cream and a cherry on top. Anything to go home. Just tell me what to do, I'll do it, let's just go home. It was not an option. There was no devil to be found, and I was stuck there with these two guys. They tied me to the bare wooden bed. I was lying down on my stomach, so they tied my wrists to the metal headboard. They tied my ankles to the other end, so I was lying down on my stomach. My wrist was already broken. They took off my socks and my shoes, and one of the men lashed the soles of my feet with a length of cable. And when I say cable, I mean it. I don't mean wire, I mean cable. Think garden hose, but full rubber. And these men, their job is to make you suffer. The true meaning of the word suffer. It's their job, they get paid to do it. So they beat me. The first one that landed on the soles of my feet, by the way, your nerve ends are in your feet. This is the most common method of torture in the Middle East, the lashing of the feet. Why? Because the nerve ends are there. With every strike of the lash, your nervous system explodes, and then it's magically put back together, and you're wide awake for the next. You think you're going to pass out. I forgot my wrist. It didn't hurt anymore. I forgot. The pain was so engulfing that I couldn't think. It was like my brain had blown up. The only thing that existed was pain. There was nothing else. I tried to count to help myself bear it. I think I got to 6, and then I forgot what came after 6. I started saying Hail Marys. I mean, honestly, for a Catholic, I had become a Catholic by then. I mean, I sneeze, I say a Hail Mary. I have a headache, I say a Hail Mary. There's bad weather, I say Hail Mary. I said, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you, and I forgot the rest of it. It was gone. It evaporated. There was just pain. I think something that is important to say here is there's a very important question. What's the point of torture? Why do they torture? Torture is used in 130 countries in the world. There are, I think, 170. Wow. And those who torture, they swear by it. They get paid a lot of money for it. Why? Those who use torture, they tell you it's to get information. Sounds logical, but it's not. It's a lie. Torture is not to get information. What? I would have confessed I was Jesus Christ under torture. I would have confessed I was a CIA spy. They gave me documents to sign. I signed everything. Do you think I read them? Seriously. When I go to a bank, I don't read the documents that I sign, let alone in a torture room with two men who can tear me literally into tiny little pieces. Are you kidding me? No, I didn't read it. I don't know what I signed. So torture is not to get information. Is it to kill you? Absolutely not. They want to kill you. There are much more economical ways. They will put you in front of a wall and they will call someone with a gun to shoot you, or they will hang you, or even better, they will give you a shovel, you dig a hole, you go lie down in it, somebody else will put dirt on you. Very economical, very practical, right? Why do they torture? Torture is hard work. Torture is designed to kill the human soul. That's what it's designed to do. When they succeed, they stop. They don't succeed, then they will execute you. And this is why torture is a crime against humanity. So they beat me. Eventually they stopped. I sat up, looked at my feet, and I laughed my head off. It was hilarious. My feet looked like overgrown party balloons with toes on them, color indigo blue. I looked like Bugs Bunny. I had grown up watching Bugs Bunny. I thought about Bugs Bunny, and that made me laugh. I mean, think about it, it was funny. And then the guys who were beating me, they thought I was resisting, so they beat me more. Long story short, I was given a death sentence. Very easy to get in Evin, and it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 16. It was reduced to life in prison. I was sent to the cell block with hundreds, maybe thousands of other girls, 90% under the age of 20. It was high school in hell. The very first night I woke up at 2 a.m., I needed to go to the bathroom. I was in a cell with many other people. I sat up in my spot. I was sleeping on the floor. I sat up in my spot. I looked around me, and I thought, uh-oh, can't go. There were people sleeping around me like sardines. There was no space between them. I was not going to walk on my friends to go to the bathroom. But I knew at dawn there is the call for prayer, and everybody has to get up, go wash up, get ready for namaz. I waited. Dawn came, the call for prayer came, and I was number 302 in the bathroom line. Good luck. So we stood in bathroom line all day. And as we stood, there would be names announced over the loudspeakers. So and so and so and so come to the office. The people who were called would be going for interrogation, torture, or execution. You didn't know which one. They call you. It's like the lottery. Good luck, bye. The people who were called, they all went quietly. Nobody made a fuss. Why? Because if you made a fuss, they would come and shoot you right there. So they call you, you go, you shut up, and you go. And the rest of us, we stay. And what do we do as we stand in line to go to the bathroom all day? We talk. But what? No, not about social justice. That didn't end well. We talked about everything that makes you human. Have you ever thought about it? What makes you human? I had never thought about it because I had no need for it. But in a bathroom line in Evin prison, I actually discovered my humanity. When you're stuck in a black hole of evil, done by man to man, you only have one option. One. And that's called hope. But how do you find hope in a black hole of evil? Happy memories. You have to remember that even though it seems like the world doesn't give a damn what happens to you, there are people out there who love you, and that you, despite everything, love those people. You have to remember that. So we talked about birthday parties, family reunions, New Year celebrations, Donnie and Marie Osmond, cupcakes, high heels, bikinis. And we created light in darkness. It was a fading light. It was a very, very small and trembling light, but it was light. Many of the girls who stood in the bathroom line with me are dead. They are buried in mass graves. My friend Shahnoush, I told you about her, the one who was afraid of spiders. She was executed at 15, at the age of 15, in fall of 1981. She's buried in a mass grave, I don't know where. In Evin, the person I was before it died. I died. The person I was before died on that torture bed. I have become a witness. No more, no less. A witness means nothing, nothing, if he or she does not testify. It is my job to make sure that those who died unfairly are remembered. There was another form of torture in Evin. Sometimes young women were called for interrogation at midnight and they were returned to the cell block at 5 a.m. No visible torture signs. If you knew the girl, you would go up to her and you would say, "Where were you last night?" And she would give you some lame excuse like, "Oh, they took me for interrogation, nothing happened." Good one. That doesn't happen here. But then she gave you that look that said, "Leave me alone, don't want to talk about it." And you gave your friend privacy. I was called for interrogation 6 months after my arrest. My interrogator, Ali, was there. He took me in a room, took off my blindfold, looked at me straight in the eye and said, "Listen carefully. You had a death sentence. I reduced it to life in prison. You'll be here forever and nobody cares." Yeah, that much I knew. He said, "You are going to become my wife or I will arrest your parents and your boyfriend." He could. So I said, "Okay, I'll do anything. Just don't touch my mom and dad and my boyfriend." I was 17 years old. This man, my interrogator Ali, forced me to marry him. I was 17, underage. But it didn't matter. According to Iranian law, it didn't matter. I was of age according to Iranian law. This didn't mean that I was released from prison, but I actually now spend time in solitary confinement. I was being raped over and over again under the name of marriage, and it was absolutely legal. I couldn't even complain about it. This man also forced me to convert to Islam or my family would be arrested, and he even changed my name. One day I looked around me, I had lost my freedom, my family, my religion, and my dignity. How much more can you take away from a human being? Not much. He took me on short leaves of absence to visit his family, and I expected his mother to be the evil mother from Cinderella and torment me more. But this little woman opened the door, she took me in her kitchen, all the food in her fridge landed on the table in front of me, and she said, "I beg you, eat." She was kind, she was generous, she was nicer than my mother. And I looked at her and I thought, oh my Lord, what happened? How could she be nice? She had a son who was a torturer. It didn't add up. She kept talking, and one day, very casually, she told me that my torturer husband had been a political prisoner in Evin during the time of the Shah, and he had been tortured much more than I had. My house of cards collapsed. Up to that point, I had divided the world into good and evil, good on one side, evil on the other, clean line in the middle. I was good, he was evil. I was the victim, he was the torturer. Doesn't take a rocket scientist, does it? But now she was saying that the one who was the torturer had been a victim, that the one who was evil had been good. What happened? And the more I thought about it, the more I realized it's very simple. tables turn. They always do. Revolutions happen, governments change. The revolution happened, he was released from prison, somebody handed him a length of cable and said, go get him. And he did. He was angry, he was full of hate. He got the opportunity and he responded. He said yes. And I knew, and I still know, one day my phone will ring and someone from Iran will say, hey Marina, how is it going? Not bad, I like Canada. Well, we just had a revolution in Iran and now it's a democracy and we need you back. We really need a minister of justice. Well, it's really minister of revenge, but who cares? You qualify. You're angry, they killed your friends, they tortured you, they raped you. Come. And they will hand me a length of cable. They will say, there you go, honey. Go get them. Okay. What do we do now? It's difficult. I realize that they can take away your name, your family, your religion, and your dignity, but there is one thing they cannot take away, and that is who you really are, which has nothing to do with the above, but it has to do with the answer that you give to that length of cable. Are you a torturer? Simple question. Does it get any more straightforward than that? I mean, I'm not sugarcoating anything. I shouldn't. I'm past sugarcoating right now. Are you a torturer? It's a very simple question. When you look up the word torture in the dictionary, it doesn't ask you why did you torture or how did you torture or under the guise of which ideology or religion did you torture. The one who tortures is a torturer, period. If I take that length of cable and I use it, I become a torturer. I will become what my husband used to be. And that is wrong, and nothing in the world or above will ever make it right. Ever, ever. No matter what they have done to me, no matter what they have done to my friends, I am not a torturer, period. Who is the enemy here? Simple question. Another one. The world is full of simple questions. Who is the enemy? There's always an enemy. Is it a country? Is it a religion? Is it an ethnicity? Is it a color of skin? Is it a sexual orientation? What is it? No. None of them. The real enemy is the monster of violence. It is a dragon. Now, if you think, for some childish reason, that you are Prince Charming, you have read too many Cinderella stories, and you can take a silver sword and go stick it, or too many Game of Thrones actually, if you take a silver sword and go stick it in the heart of the dragon, it's gonna die? Ha, funny. It has been tried since the dawn of time. Doesn't work. If you stick the sword into the heart of the dragon, you will become one of its heads. And then good luck to you. There's only one way to defeat the dragon. And the one who's telling you this knows, because I've been there. There's only one way. You have to walk up to it. Not a pleasant walk. And then you have to look at it in the eye and say, I see you, I acknowledge you, and I'm not scared. Yeah, you'll die. Sorry. But, yeah, if there are a million of us, yeah, we'll still die. But what if there are 10 million? Can the dragon kill everyone? No, nobody said it was easy. It takes courage, and it takes a lot of it. And it doesn't take the kind of courage that you see in movies or fairy tales or in the Game of Thrones. This is a different kind of courage. That means sacrifice and means suffering. The man that I was forced to marry was assassinated by the rival faction of the government, and his family, who were good people, they fought for my release. In March of 1984, when I was just shy of 19 years of age, they opened the gates of the prison and they said, "Go home." They thought they had killed my soul. I went home, sat at the dinner table with my parents, and watched in astonishment as they talked about the weather. Nobody wanted to acknowledge what had happened to me. They knew what happened in Evin. Everybody knew what happened in Evin. Everybody knows what happens in Evin. Torture, rape, execution, and horror. But nobody talked about it. Because if we acknowledge an atrocity, someone will come and say, if you knew about it, why didn't you do something to stop it? And nobody wants to be asked that question because it means taking responsibility. And let me tell you something from a 52-year-old to much younger audience, taking responsibility sucks. It sucks. As long as you can avoid it, do, but the point in your life will come when you actually have to do it, as it did in mine. I tried to run away from my past, but it caught up with me. So now I accept who I am, nothing more than a witness. Now I'm going to end this, and hopefully we can take questions. We are in a church, and I have great respect for this kind of space. The one who died on the cross, Jesus, he means a lot to me, personally, because when I was in solitary confinement, I had nobody to talk to. So you know what? When you're in solitary, every day is 3,000 years, so it's kind of tough. I started talking to God. I know, that's crazy, but I'm crazy, so that's fine. I said, "Hey God, how is it going?" And not that I heard any voices, I'm not schizophrenic. I have PTSD, but I'm not schizophrenic, not yet. Not that there was a booming voice or a burning bush, no. But in my head, I guess I would just make it up. "Hello God, how is it going? Good Marina, how is it going down there?" Well, guess what? It's not going that great. If this God that I was having a conversation with was sitting on his throne in heaven, I would have spat in his face. Wouldn't you? But the God that I was talking to had been tortured severely, and then had died a torturous death on a cross. Even if they had asked me, you can choose, if they had told me you can choose your method of execution, I thought about it, because for a while I was on death row, so it's a very practical thing you do think about if you have an option. And I was hoping they would give me an option. I thought, you know what, I would like to be shot. That's my number one pick, no doubt. There was no lethal injection, probably that's better. But I would have gone with being shot, then hanged, and if being crucified was an option, I would have done my best to get out of it. My best. It means that I would have committed suicide. It looks really painful. So no, thank you very much. So the man who died on the cross is the one that I trust. Because he didn't sit on his throne in heaven and watch me suffer. This is a God I can have a conversation with. This is a God who understands me. And this is a God that I can truly love. You know why? Not because I'm good, but because he loved me. And when you have lived through hell, you know what that means. No matter what the world does to me, no matter what my family does to me, no matter what world powers do to me, no matter what the Islamists or my countrymen do to me, there is one who will always have my back. And not by protecting me from suffering, from pain, from harm. No, by loving me. Because he died. In a way, I died too. Is this some form of resurrection? I don't know. You can ask him when you see him. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your attention.